What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. We are back again today with our DFS episode. Got our man, Hugh. What's going on, Hugh? How you doing today?
Doing all right. I've been busy this week, getting ready to go see the 49ers and Cardinals game. I'm flying out tomorrow, so I'll enjoy that this weekend. But right now, just watching the Rams and Seahawks.
Gonna be watching a great game live. Trey Lance taking on Kyler Murray.
Hey,
I know you're
hoping
on
that happens.
might go get to see the guy that might be giving you a signed helmet. Just got to start
Maybe.
winning some more games. All right. Let's jump into this. We're going to put a little bit more of a focus onto our tournament plays and just mentioning the good cash plays out of each game as we go through them. So starting it off, we have the Jets going up against the Falcons in London. The over-under currently sitting at 45.5, and it being an international game is making me kind of want to fade a lot of these players. But there are a few interesting names, especially some guys out of the Atlanta team who are going to getting a little bit more targets with Calvin Ridley not traveling and not going with the team. Hugh, are there any good picks that you like out of here for cash?
Let's just get this out of the way first with Atlanta, because everybody's been talking about his name after a phenomenal showing last week. Portero Patterson is just in a prime spot again to see an uptick. His snap rate or routes run were pretty low. He's only running about a third of the routes per snaps that the team gets. So he's actually being super efficient on his touches and routes run. So on his routes, I think he's running about 40 routes per Matt Ryan dropback when he's in the game. And on those 40%, he's seen somewhere at about 30% targets. So he's being super efficient on what he's been doing. But with Ridley out, they got to go through him again at the receiving position. They don't really have much else there. The Kyle Pitts, I know I was on him earlier and saying, hey, he's going to get a touchdown this week, but we just haven't seen it. I don't know what Arthur Smith is doing. I don't really understand their offensive philosophy. But
They have a bad one.
I still haven't been
long and short of it.
I still haven't been able to figure out what they want to do, whether or not they want to run, whether they want to pass, or if it's just Matt Ryan not being able to grasp the offense. But Pitt's fine play if you're playing this. So again, if you're playing this game in like a wraparound sort of deal, or where you're playing the early morning game and the late games, I would really be looking at these as some dart throws. Cordero, especially, maybe Olamide Zaccheaus from Atlanta. People might be saying Russell Gage, but he hasn't done anything this year at all to even warrant maybe even a dart throw.
No, he's actually going to be out this week as well.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the. Okay, so I've been very busy.
Definitely don't
week.
play him. That'd be a bad. Don't play.
Don't play him. I did not see that come through, but you're really only picking dart throws from that team. You can play Davis. We have seen these games in London be just absolutely horrible with the athletes traveling across the pond and playing over there. So I honestly, I'd throw this as a 50-50. I give the Jets more of a shot than anything. I like what Zach Wilson could do with how horrible that Falcons defense is. They got a win last week. Maybe that can continue. Elijah Mitchell, could play this week. When he did, we saw little snippets of what he could do, what he can offer. Crowder had a good showing last week. I'd actually play Crowder out of all the pass catchers there. I know Corey Davis is there as well, but it just doesn't seem like him and Wilson are grasping things together.
Yeah.
I like Crowder. Crowder is a very good play. He's playing a lot of his snaps in the slot. Pretty easy for a rookie quarterback to get on. So I'm liking Crowder.
All right. Let's go on to the next game on the block. We got the Eagles taken on the Carolina Panthers. About to say the Philadelphia Panthers. That would have been wrong. So out of this game, I'm actually really liking Sam Darnold in a tournament style play. He's been getting a peculiar amount of rushing touchdowns this season so far, but they really seem to be allowing him to run that read option in that red zone since Christian McCaffrey's been out. And for some reason, no one expects Sam Darnold from the Jets to be able to run the ball into the end zone, but he's doing it very well this year so far. And then Philadelphia's defense has been allowing touchdowns in the red zone up in bunches. So I like that a lot. Other than that, though, I'm only looking at guys like DJ Moore, not touching any of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll play Goddard. I'll play Ertz. And then I'm not touching neither Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell.
So I think this one can be a fairly condensed targets. I think you can play these guys in cash pretty well. I think Sam Darnold and DJ Moore are a great cash stack. You're going to get Sam at 6,600. DJ Moore's price, I believe, went up from last week. Yeah, he's up now to 7,500, but he's still a pretty good value. Robbie Anderson just hasn't shown up yet. Chuba Hubbard, I'm not too concerned with Chuba. I mean,
I think he's a good tournament play.
He's 6,000, so he's up from last week. And he's playing Philly. Philly's playing up in pace. I see this game script going more as a passing game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be looking at DJ Moore, maybe a dart throw at Terrace Marshall. I mean, it hasn't come to fruition yet, so tournament only for him. But another one that I'm really liking in this game is Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. They are both pretty cheap to own. Right now, Jalen Hurts is only $7K, so you're only paying up $400 more from Darnold. And he has a higher ceiling projected, and his ownership is probably going to be a lot less than Sam Darnold is. So, I mean, I think Hurts is safe in cash, and he's safe in GPPs this week. And then moving over to Smith, I mean, God, this guy is actually – I think he's like showing what they drafted, and he's only priced at 5,900. He's projected for having less than 1% ownership in large field tournaments. That could probably, if anything comes out this week, it probably can go up. But it's very clear that the Eagles just don't run the football. They go through the air.
Yeah.
And they're just go, go, go. So I could see this being a shootout potential just with both teams not having the greatest of defenses. And this is where's this game being played at? I don't think
at Philadelphia, I believe.
At Philadelphia, yeah. So
no, at Carolina, I believe.
It's at Carolina? Okay, so again, not worried about that. I mean, we've seen Hurts. He's got a rushing floor, and he's got the ceiling with the pass catcher. So you could fire up a dart throw in tournaments for Goddard or Ertz. I don't really want to play them in cash. Just due to either, a touchdown falls either way, and you're going from a 7-point game to a 13-point showing from one of your tight ends, and having them priced fairly equal. I would be looking at those at tournament plays only. So I could see a stack with, going with Hurts, Smith, and a bring back of DJ Moore would be pretty good.
Okay, I kind of like that one, actually. And then moving on to the next game, we got the Packers visiting the Bengals. I like this game a lot. A high-value stack would be a Rodgers Devonta Adams stack, and I think that's going to pay off in bunches. Could also be seeing some Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase stacks with a bring-back of Devonta Adams. So where are we feeling on this one?
This, I think, is going to be where you're going to see a lot of plays come out of this game. This has a over-under of 50 right now, 50.5, with Green Bay getting an implied point total of 26, and Cincinnati's getting an implied point total of 23. So there's plenty of points to go around. So I'm liking Joe Burrow for Tournament stacks, Aaron Rodgers, pretty good one in cash. And I'm trying to find out where this game is being played at this weekend.
At Cincinnati.
It's at Cincinnati. Okay, so it's a home game for them. I mean, Aaron Jones, safe for consideration. I don't think he's going to see a lot of ownership going to him, to be honest. Let me check this here. Let's see. Who else am I looking at? I think Randall Cobb, and people are probably thinking that old guy is probably not worth anything, but with
we saw it last week.
Well, we saw it last week, but Geronimo Allison's not involved. With MVS down, Rodgers is going to Cobb. Like he is like, if Adams isn't open, he's just okay. Where's Cobb? I feel like Cobb is his safety blanket, and it was shown last week. So I think you could run doubles either side. I think you could run a Rodgers, Devonta, Cobb with maybe a bringback of Chase or Boyd. I don't know if I really want to buy into Higgins just yet, coming off of that injury.
Yeah,
but
it's a little too soon.
But I mean, you could even run it back with Burrow, because I mean, Joe Mixon's. If I haven't seen anything, Joe Mixon's out, right, for this game.
Joe Mixon is out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a Mixonless game. They could just let him loose if Rodgers gets up, and you have a Burrow, Chase, Boyd with a bring back of Devonta Adams, or you can even bring back with a nice bring back of for game flow. You can bring back Aaron Jones, seeing as though the Packers get to a big lead, and then Burrow's got to come fight back, and then Jones can just salt away the game.
Yep, absolutely. Tournament plays, though, someone I'm really looking into is CJ Uzomah. Last week looked like one of Joe Burrow's favorite targets on the field, and if you are playing those cheap tight ends, he is someone you might want to be taking a shot at. Think he allows a lot of opportunity to build a team around him. And then moving on to the next game, we got the Patriots going to Houston, playing against Davis Mills, the future face of the NFL. I'm going to say it now. After those 4 touchdowns last week, 4 interceptions last week, the guy's probably not going to have a job much longer. But how can we expect the Patriots offense to function against them this week?
I mean, we saw when I want to pick on Houston. I really do, right? We've seen this before, but it's just there's no real offense coming from New England right now. I mean, Mac Jones is fine. Don't get me wrong, but I think the only one I really feel safe in playing and who is priced fairly enough to where I want to get him would be Damien Harris. I think he's going to be kind of a lock in cash. I think even though he's probably not going to get you 20 points on DraftKings, he's probably going to get you 15, unless the touchdowns are. It's Belichick, so magic for him. Who gets the touchdown this week? I don't know, but I think you can safely say Harris is going to get most of the volume in the backfield, and I don't see them playing from behind. So I really don't see Brandon Bolden getting much work, and I could see Harris accumulating most of the work there. And Jacoby Myers showed out last week out of necessity, but that ball gets spread around so much that I really don't know who I want in the pass game from New England. And the tight ends themselves, they cannibalize each other. So I mean, I'm not really interested in that, but I do think Damien Harris is a pretty valuable pick. I think you can play him in cash games, maybe tournaments, but I just don't see a high enough ceiling where he can get you there in tournaments. But in cash, I think he's the solid relief you need, because he is 5,500 right now. So, I mean, you're looking somebody like they love to run the ball. Belichick loves to run the ball, and this game is at Houston. So, I mean, in a dome, no weather like it was last week. So, I mean, I'd fire up Harris and maybe take a dart throw in tournaments on Bourne or Jacoby and Myers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually like Jacoby Myers a lot this week. We've seen the past 2 weeks, he's gotten 21 targets. He's been getting a lot of work on that offense. And if for some reason it seems to be like they just completely stomp Houston this week, I think when Jacoby Myers is someone that we're going to see in the end zone once or twice. So I love him in tournament. He's at 5,600 currently right now. And really the only other like viable option in this game in a tournament setting, I think you should take a chance at least on one of your lineups on Brandon Cooks. I would say there's an 85% chance he is an absolute bust this week. But in that 15% chance that he doesn't get locked down against that offense and is able to actually just get some yards, he could easily break 100 yards again, mainly in the fact that they're going to probably be getting blown out and it's just an absolute throwing the ball downfield for the entire second half, and it only takes one or two passes to have a big day. 6,300
I like
is
that
a
call.
little expensive, but I think if you're doing multiple lineups, just throw him in one. He probably is going to pay out.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can have a safe play. You can have a mini stack here. You can play Damien Harris with a bringback of Brandon Cooks, but somebody else that I like in this game, probably Jordan Akins, a safety blanket for Mills. I know last week Mills was just like under duress all game, and just the Bills just took it to him, and it was horrible to watch that. It's pretty bad, but I think you might be able to get something there out of
Another person you could just
out of Akins. Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to a game I'm actually a lot more excited to be playing players from. The Tennessee Titans going to Jacksonville. Going to be seeing Derrick Henry possibly break the single game rushing record. Expect 258 yards from the guy. No, I'm just kidding. Realistically, though, cash plays, I think Derrick Henry does absolutely crack the 150 mark this week, which is insane to say that you're expecting a running back not only to rush 100 yards, but let's add another 50 onto that against Jacksonville. And I actually think that Ryan Tannehill could be another safer play because it's possible that Henry doesn't find the end zone and AJ Brown and still gets the yards, and then AJ Brown gets to capitalize on those touchdowns.
I like the narrative. I am not seeing it from Tannehill yet. I think for me, I'd have to see a show me game to entrust Tannehill before I play him. I'm just not going to sink any money into him on that point. I do think though that AJ Brown is a good start. Obviously, I think Derrick Henry's probably a lock in cash. He is $9,000, so just to do the value on that, he needs to score over or close to 30 DraftKings points for him to reach value on that $9,000. So you really need that from him. So probably a lock in cash just with how Jacksonville is playing. But then again, it is a divisional game. And, I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying a divisional game, you just kind of throw records out the window at that point. But then again, it is Derrick Henry. So, I mean, who am I to go against the man? So if you want to play him in cash, I will not fault you for that.
Fair enough. What about any of the receivers out of Jacksonville? DJ Chark out, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, both looking like they're going to be seeing an increased opportunity. And then just because the team doesn't really have anyone else that you can be interested in, let's just throw James Robinson into the same conversation. Are these guys cash or tournament plays for you?
I think James Robinson is like a lock in cash. Definitely a lock in cash. Like he is just going to see all of just everything in that offense. He's basically back to what we saw last year. I'm not going to talk about anything about Urban Meyer and his shenanigans that have happened over the last week, but I mean, I think Laviska Shenault can see an uptick in targets with Chark being out for the year. Marvin Jones is still clearly the one on that team. So, excuse me, both are fine. I think in tournament plays, I think I lean more Marvin in a cash game, but definitely Robinson is cash and GPP viable this week.
All
And
right.
I mean, if you really want to run this and you can get all, if you really think this game is going to get up and you buy into this game script, I mean, show a Trevor Lawrence with a Marvin Jones, LaVisca stack with a bringback of Derrick Henry.
Oh wow. Hey, let's get a little. I like it. Let's get creative. I'm actually leaning on the Laviska side a little bit here, mainly just due to the fact that once Chark came out and was completely out, and James Robinson fell back into the role that he was in last year, it kind of looked like Laviska was just the one that was getting the most work, and that they kind of just scripted him into the ball game a little bit more than Marvin Jones, which is the first time we've seen that this season. So I don't know if it was just how the chips were falling, but just kind of the one thing I noticed from the game. As far as A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, obviously there's a lot of value behind these guys. We're not interested in Ryan Tannehill. I'm actually not comfortable playing them unless I'm taking the shot on Tannehill to back them up. Am I?
I'm not going to fault you for doing that. I mean, me personally, I'm just going to fade Tannehill this week until I can see it from him to prove that. But I think AJ Brown's going to step out somewhere. I mean, the guy, you can't keep down an athlete that's like that. I think Julio is just getting older, and it's just less and less of what Julio actually was. You know, like where this guy could just play hurt. I don't think I don't think that's him anymore. I really don't. Like I just he was good against Seattle, but again, we have the game going on right now in the background, and I mean Seattle is just letting everybody go. They're if they're a gatekeeper, that man, they are snoozing on the job. They just let everybody go, and I don't think that I think that Julio game was just a byproduct of Seattle being just so bad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he hasn't done much else the rest of the season. So I don't know if it's the offense or what, but I mean, Julio could be hurt, and I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just staying away from Julio. I think going with AJ Brown is what I want to do. And Brown, actually, with how he's been going, he's actually priced down to 6,500. So he's down somewhere where I would actually want to take a shot on him in
Okay.
tournaments, not cash, but definitely tournaments.
Tournaments. All right. Going over to Denver, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to let you guys know that even though we saw targets galore coming out of Pittsburgh last week when they played against Green Bay, we saw Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Juju Smith-Schuster almost having 10 or more targets on the day. I'm not touching any of them. They're just too much value going behind him, and I don't trust Big Ben to back up the value. Benham himself is someone you should be avoiding at all costs in every situation that you have any chance to take him. And then Naji Harris, I think, is going to be the only solid play in both tournaments and cash if you get the opportunity. Obviously, when you're playing him, you're spending up on him, so you're expecting him to do something for you. Currently, Naji's sitting at 6,900. And then out of the Broncos, Cortland Sutton, but not comfortably.
I think you can comfortably play people against that defense. I think. Well, let me take a step back. If Teddy Bridgewater can play, I feel comfortable playing the receiving options for Denver. But if Drew Lock is playing, I would fire up Pittsburgh's defense. I just don't trust Lock at all. He only gets there in garbage time. So that's where I kind of stand on that. I think maybe they run the ball and just keep it out of Lock's hands. Maybe you can play Devonta. I'm not really liking anybody from Denver side, but I think with how Pittsburgh is playing, I think the two options are Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris. I mean, their receiving is less than 10 yards, and they're just getting everything. So I'm going with those two. Just Claypool is just not getting the targets that he needs to, and his are a little bit further down the field. So, and we've seen Ben. I think Ben's arm's completely shot. I think this is his last year. So, I'm be firing up Naji in cash and tournaments, and same thing with Deontay. I think Deontay is actually a really good cash viable option, and he's sitting at let's see here. He's sitting at 6,500. So pretty good price to be looking at. So I don't mind paying that for him.
All right, let's go on to the next game. We got the Saints going to the Washington football team. Over-unders is sitting at 43. And for me, outside of Terry McLaurin, I don't even see many players I'm interested in taking a dart throw on. Alvin Kamara's even been someone that's been a little underwhelming throughout the season so far. Jameis Winston, I'm not expecting him to be balling out against Washington this week. And even Taylor Heineke, I think it can go either way. So I'm not comfortable throwing him in a lot of tournament styles. But maybe Antonio Gibson could be someone that interests you.
So I kind of like this position where this is at because it's going to be a nebulous game. So it's going to be really good for tournaments. I don't think you're really going to want to pull people out of here for cash. Maybe cash, you play Terry McLaurin. But I think I ran this stack last week and it was pretty good in a tournament. But I just picked the wrong Niners wide receiver and went with Ayuk instead of Debo. But I think you can safely play Taylor Heineke. He's got a really good rushing floor. He's been 20 yards, 40 yards, so he's offering you a decent floor, and I think he can get there against this New Orleans defense. I'm not really scared of New Orleans at all. I mean, I think it was just a horrible game one against Green Bay. I mean, I'd be firing up a stack of probably Heineke, McLaurin with a Kamara bringback just because in a tournament, I don't think anybody's going to want to play Kamara, but Washington's defense is just they're nothing. We saw them get, trounced by Atlanta last week. So, I mean, fire up Kamara for me. I know he's getting, targets and stuff like that taken away from him, and he's getting goal line touches taken away from him by Hill. But I mean, he could just break one loose, and you got a great tournament play right there. So
Absolutely.
it's pretty cheap stack too with Heineke in there.
That's fair enough. And then let's go over to the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. How are you feeling about this one?
It's an NFC North. It's NFC North. So I mean, you tell me. Dalvin Cook has been. I think he might have had a setback. He is not. If I read the report, didn't practice
He's out of
today,
practice
did he?
today. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Alexander Madison, fire up Justin Jefferson, fire up Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins. I'm not really scared of this Detroit defense. So, all those options are pretty good. And then, on the other side, I don't know if I'm fire up Goff. I mean, maybe dart throws in tournaments and stuff like that if you're doing mass multi-entry, but
yeah, there's a lot of other people I'm touching well before I'm interested in playing Goff, even in a tournament style.
Yeah,
just because even if he has a good day, there's better.
Yeah, I think you are looking at Hawkinson still. He is somebody that you can always look at just due to his target share. He's 5,500, hasn't gone up. Still like him at that price against Minnesota. Their defense is just as bad as Seattle's. Maybe Quintus Cephas in a tournament or Khalif Raymond, but that's probably about it. I'm not really looking for anything else more. But
no,
the
only one.
Even that, I played DeAndre Swift last week, and the thought process of mine was like, okay, I could see it get there where Detroit gets down and I'm having to play this game from, a catch-up role. And I really do think that there's some games where they go all in and do a 50-50 timeshare on Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. So, I mean, I like DeAndre Swift. I like the player. I like all of that. But I just think I don't know if he's going to be able to get there. But, I mean, he's a great tournament play. I don't think I'd play him in cash.
All right, fair enough. Let's go over to the the Cleveland Browns visiting Los Angeles Chargers. Over and under sitting at 47.5, and I think even in tournament plays, the only interested options I have here, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Austin Eckler, and Justin Herbert in one lineup, maybe. I think this is just going to be a really slow game with not a lot of fantasy coming out of it.
So this one kind of offers two really good defenses. Los Angeles is the number 4 ranked team against fantasy opponents just in general. They've really shut down offenses this year. I mean, I wouldn't say shut down completely, but like they stifled the Chiefs to what they're under 30 points. And, they stifled the incredible Raiders under 400 passing yards. They've kept games close, and they did it to Washington too. So their defense is actually really good. Brandon Staley is actually a really good coach and is probably the front runner right now for Coach of the Year. So, in my opinion, at least. I mean, I think Cleveland's defense is good, but I mean it's in LA, so I'm not really scared to play anybody from the Chargers. Going to the Cleveland side, Baker just seems like he's just not finding Odell. I mean, I played Odell in a high stakes tournament last week, and I pulled another, Marquise Brown out of my ass, and Odell was open for 3 touchdowns and could have been a great game for that, and just fell short. So, I mean, thought process there. I mean, you could probably go back to Odell this week. Squeaky wheel. I don't know what to do with Nick Chubb, and I think I'm going to stay off Nick Chubb. He's getting the yardage totals. He's getting everything.
He's not getting a touchdown.
He's just not getting the valuable touchdowns. He's just not getting the valuable touches. He's not getting any of the receiving work, and he's not getting any of the work down by the goal line. So I think you play Kareem Hunt here, even though Los Angeles, they bleed points to the running back. So I think you play Kareem Hunt in the situation. But then again, it's Kareem Hunt, and then, oh boy, here comes Nick Chubb, and that's just kind of the way life goes for me. So, but I like the rushing offense for that. But anybody else other than Odell in that receiving option for Cleveland, I'm tournaments only, and that's mass multi-entry.
Okay. Hey, my thing is just for the amount of money that you're spending on Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, I just feel like you're going to get hurt by the end of it and get burned. I just don't like how this game's probably going to run. I think it's going to just be a very, very run-heavy game with the Chargers possibly only throwing for under 250 this week. But you know what? Hey, it could be a 350-yard game from each team. Anything can happen this year in the NFL. As I'm speaking right now, Gino Smith is playing for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I got a showdown slate here, and I'm seeing DJ Dallas in the backfield. I'm like, come on, Travis Homer.
Well, no, I guess Russell Wilson broke his finger. So moving on, next game, we got the Bears visiting the Raiders. I like Josh Jacobs a lot in this game. I think he's a good cash play. He's very valuable. Hey, just shaking your head. It's not Kenyon Drake. It's not Peyton Barber. Josh Jacobs. It's gonna happen.
Did you see Josh Jacobs' last game?
Did you see the Raiders?
The guy looked like he had his shoes tied together, running.
Hey, that's still faster than both of us.
I mean, I'm not gonna fault you there, but I mean, compared to everybody else on the field, man, like he is just, I don't know what's going on. I mean, they paid Kenyon Drake $11 million this year, and he's not even a
One touch
part of
last
it.
week.
One touch. He's obviously quicker and faster than 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 Jacobs, but I don't understand what Gruden's doing. So, I mean, yeah, Jacobs will probably get you 10, 12 points. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I'm just
I'm into it.
I don't know what I want to do with him. As you can see, like he's $5,900. I mean, he's projected ownership is 20%. I mean, he's a cheap option. I mean, you could probably take a shot on him in tournaments, but they'll probably go elsewhere.
All right. What do you think about Damian Williams this week?
I
Taking
think
over for David Montgomery.
I think he's probably your cap saver in GPPs. He's going to be chalked this week. He's 5,600.
Yeah.
The Bears are going to run the ball. Justin Fields doesn't run. So.
All right. And then let's talk about the receivers out of here. We got Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, and we'll throw Darren Waller in the mix too.
I'm really, really liking Hunter Renfrow. I think he's stealing a lot of Darren Waller's. Yeah, I think he's stealing a lot of Darren Waller's catches. I made moves in season-long leagues to acquire Hunter Renfrow. He's just somebody who's really safe, and I think his salary hasn't risen any, even though he laid the boom on last week. So I mean, he's $4,900. He's probably going to be my cash saver. He gets all the third down work pretty much, all these short yards, and like I think he's the new Julian Edelman, and nobody's really noticing that. I think people have noticed it, but I don't think anybody's like fully coming out and saying it. So I really like Hunter Renfrow in cash this week and in tournaments.
I mean, he looked really good coming out of Clemson. And there was a lot of hype around him coming into his second year. So maybe he's taking those steps forward while Henry Ruggs and the rest of those receivers aren't just doing anything.
I just don't know if Derek Carr can hit those guys deep. So just everything's underneath for him.
Yeah. And then Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, I think take a shot on both of them in tournaments if you want to. If you want to stack them and just take one shot, you might, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think that they're going to have a rough week on offense again. So let's jump into the next game. This is actually a game I'm really excited for. This is the New York Giants taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Just a preview for you, Hugh, if you didn't watch the episode yet. Must start of the week for me, Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be an absolute stud going against the Dallas Cowboys' weak-ass defense this week. And I think that we see him run for 50 yards plus throw for 200. 2 touchdowns is almost a lock if you haven't already thrown those numbers in. I think the line's already moved up, though. So how are we feeling about it? Who are we playing, if not everyone?
Yeah, I like your pick there in Daniel Jones. Not saying anything about that. I think another play you can play is Kadarius Toney. Beat writers have been talking about how they need to get Toney more into it. They need to get him involved, and they gave him a shot last week, and sure enough, he produced. So I think you can see a little bit more of him going on from here. I mean, other than that, on that side, I wouldn't play any of the tight ends. My lock of the week is Saquon against Dallas. I think he could just see. I think he is going to be cash. Like, he's going to be chalk and cash, and I think you can play him in tournaments too. He still is not anywhere close to where he needs to be for for pricing. He is at right now 7,300. So you're looking at Austin Eckler at 76, Aaron Jones at 79, Ezekiel Elliott at 70, and Naji Harris at 69. So I'd be perfectly fine with playing Saquon Barkley at 7,300 this week against Cowboys.
I'm in it. I actually think that this is, I haven't been a big Pollard believer, but I think this is a good Pollard game if you are looking for a weak RB2. I'm just trying to save some money. I think his value dropped after what happened last week. Yeah, he's down to 5,600. So not the cheapest, but I do think that he has big enough role with brain fart, with Ezekiel Elliott banged up coming out of practice. And then going over to the receivers really quick, since we just mentioned Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, both considered questionable, to have not practiced at all this week. So if they miss another week, I love the Kadarius Toney pick. I think that he is definitely someone that needs to be starting to get picked up by players in regular fantasy. And then DFS, with him being the only other solid option there, it'll be another week for him to really show out. On to the next one. We're going to your game, the one that you will be watching live, the San Francisco 49ers going all the way to hot Arizona. Miles, what are we looking for while you're there? Who should I be playing and texting you? And, as you're there for the pregame saying, hey, he's looking good. He's looking good.
So kind of getting into the news of this week, Kyle Shanahan put out a quote saying, I need to see Jimmy Garoppolo fully throw off of his foot and not be tentative on that. So take it with what you want. He's got practice on Friday. He's got to see. I think the team flies out on Friday. So I mean, I think Lance is going to play, and I think Lance is the biggest value you're going to find this entire week. He is, let me see here. He is $5,700. Great cash saver. We saw it last week against Seattle. They finally started letting him run, and he ran. I think he got about 40 yards of rushing, had 200 yards passing. However, he got there on a busted coverage on Debo that just seems to always happen with him in the game. So he's always good for about one deep pass. I don't see 300 yards coming out of him, maybe, but I do definitely see him as like probably the lock of the week at quarterback, paying down to break open everything. So I don't mind him in cash, and I don't mind him in tournaments either to get there. Going into the receiving options, Kittle, play Debo, play Ayuk, dart throw in tournaments. Everybody else in the past game, not worth it for me. So Elijah Mitchell coming out of practice reports showing that maybe ready to play this week. Would take a shot on him if he is going to play. And then I'm just staying away from Trey Lance. Maybe Kyle Juszczyk gets in. We saw that happen last week and the week before when they used him. Maybe he'll steal or vulture a touchdown. I'm not sure. But I mean, I'd only play that in the later slate. I wouldn't be playing that in an early slate. But going over to Arizona side, definitely playing Kyler. He's the top value. He's the top, QB of the week. He's priced all the way up at $8,000. I mean, play him. I mean, if you want to pay up, you're paying for him. I wouldn't be paying for anybody else. I think that I know I'm a Niners fan, but I think the Niners are going to get blown out in this game, probably by more than 10. But the receiving options are all getting there. AJ Green gets there, Christian Kirk gets there, and DeAndre Hopkins has been suffering, but he gets there. I think all of them are playable in tournaments. I think AJ Green is playable more in cash than DeAndre Hopkins at this point. another one of my favorites to play in cash is Chase Edmonds. He hasn't gone under 11 DraftKings points all season. So
Yeah.
he's somebody worth playing at cheap, uh, cheap-ish salary. He is $5,900. I mean, if you're going to run the game script of Arizona is just going to shoot out again and then salt away the lead with Edmonds, go for it. But just if you're playing Edmonds, expect Connor to vulture touchdowns at the goal line. Oh, and then dart throw Max Williams. He's been getting enough. He's been getting enough targets, and he's been getting enough volume, and he's been getting enough targets in the red zone to want to have me play him as a dart throw tight end.
That's fair enough. As far for me, when it goes to the 49ers, I'm actually not against stacking Trey Lance with someone like a Debo and then a comeback of – this is going to sound weird because it's not really a comeback, but Chase Edmonds. I feel like we're going to see situations where Trey Lance is going to be playing to keep up and Cardinals are going to be playing from a lead trying to kill the clock, and Edmonds is going to be getting those short passes out of the backfield as well as those runs on the outside. But let's go over to the Buffalo Bills taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This is probably the game of the week right now, being that Thursday night is come to a conclusion, essentially. I think that we're going to see Josh Allen have an absolutely studly, amazing game, a great cash play, a good tournament play if you spend up for him. And then my problem is I think you're stacking him with Emmanuel Sanders, not Stephon Diggs.
I think if you're going to play Josh Allen, you need to play a double stack.
You stack with Diggs and
you need to play a double stack. Now, this is the only way you're going to play this game is if you're playing in a showdown or you're playing in a wraparound game. So, I mean, this is going to be expensive if you're playing in this and you're going to use this as a stack. But I think if you're going to play a Josh Allen stack, you're going to need to play a Demarcus Robinson or a Mecole Hardman as your bring back or something to that effect because you're not going to be able to get everybody in there and play Tyreek and Kelsey if you're playing a stack from Josh Allen. But I think you know the studs to play, and you can play them if you're playing in a wraparound. I'm not going to fault you. But I do like the Bills in this one, and I think I'd lean more on the Josh Allen side.
All right. And outside of that, like you just said, your studs in this game, and that's pretty much it. If you wanted to take the dart throws, you're looking at guys like Emmanuel Sanders. You're looking at guys like Demarcus Robinson, maybe Mecole Hardman.
Dawson Knox, pretty good.
Dawson Knox is a great option. He's been getting consistent targets, and then last week had a blow-up game, so look for it to continue in a huge game that should be a high point total. And then if you really wanted to go into the running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably a little of an expensive option for what you might get out of him, so I'm not really jumping on that. But if you need to take the shot, it's there. And then Zack Moss, I hate the guy. I don't enjoy him and watching him play, but
I would just caution taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Darrell Williams' snap count and volume has gone up the last 2 weeks, so he's capping CEH's upside. We're seeing CEH get there on the touchdown volume, so I'd just be cautious with playing CEH. I mean, he can get there. We've seen it before, but this Bills defense is pretty good, and I just caution playing CEH. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I don't know if I want to play either running back from this game if this is going to a shootout.
All right. Well, that's going to be all the games outside of the Monday night game. So I'm not really going to dive into Monday night right now, being that you're going to have to be, if you're touching that game, you're in some specialty sort of situation. So let's do our thing right here where we are going to build our own lineup and help you guys win some money. Can you check and see how we did last week on the one we submitted, or do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, let me go look here.
And while you do that, I just want to pick your brain because we kind of were quick about it. Let's talk about the defenses this week.
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at a tournament play right now. What kind of defenses are you taking shots on? I'm looking at the cheapest ones right now, and the one that I'm the most comfortable playing right now looks to be like it's going to be the Chargers going against Cleveland at 2,700. Outside of that, I'm looking at possibly the Bengals versus Green Bay, and I'm expecting the 50-50 chance of me getting absolutely burned in that, but you never know.
So I think this week you could probably pay up in tournaments with just how loose everything's going to be in and pricing for tournaments. Just with a lot of the high ceiling guys out. Patriots, Bill Belichick just destroys rookie quarterbacks, and Davis Mills is a rookie quarterback. So, I mean, New England's probably going to be a lock in cash for me. Tampa Bay against Miami. I don't think I'd play them. Broncos versus Pittsburgh. I think just Ben is just gone, so you can get there on that. And then the Titans. I mean, they're playing Jacksonville, but I mean, we touted them last week against the Jets, and it just didn't. Tennessee's just absolutely horrible. Yeah. So I mean, Packers, you could probably get there with Cincinnati if they're playing from behind. Panthers and Philly, I'm staying away from. Steelers, I'm staying away from. Bears, I'm staying away from. Carr is actually very good at not turning the ball over. Last week when he threw that interception, it was very kind of like, wow, he threw an interception sort of deal. Saints, I don't know if I really want to play them. Vikings, probably could get there, but Goff really hasn't been turning the ball over that much. I'm really interested in playing the Cardinals. Again, Trey Lance is a rookie, so I could see 2 interceptions from him or maybe a couple sacks. So they're down at 2,900. The Raiders have a very good pass rush, so I could see getting a few sacks on Fields. Staying away from the Cowboys, even though they've been getting it done with turnovers. So might be something to look at there. 2,800. 49ers, I'm staying away from. Browns, I think I'd stay away from the Browns, but I could actually see myself getting onto some Chargers here.
Yeah, that's actually who I've got taken right now. I've got the Chargers at 2,700. I think they just add a lot of value with Cleveland's low-scoring offense and the fact that it could just be a little bit of a dud game for Baker.
Now, if you really want to play this one and you want to go dirt cheap, I think you can get there with the Texans' defense. Mac Jones is nothing to be scared of. So I think you can really
we're going to take it. We're going to do it. We'll take that shot.
I think you can get there at 2,300.
I like it. It saves us some money there.
Yeah, so
all right. Let's jump into a quarterback. What game do we want to focus on here? Which is your favorite game? Mine was the Dallas New York Giants game, and that's mainly because I like just Daniel Jones a lot this week. Is that a game we want to stack up on, or would you rather go somewhere else?
You know what? Let's go. You know what? Let's go Daniel Jones with Saquon and Tony.
Okay, I like it. I don't know if you know this, but Kadarius Toney was my favorite receiver coming into the draft.
Yeah.
So whenever I get a chance to play him and I'm comfortable with it, it makes me really happy. So let's get over to this. We've got our RB1, we've got our wide receiver 1. Let's grab a tight end and see what kind of, or no, I lied. Let's round out another receiver.
You want? Hold on. Let's see this because I want a piece of this game. Let's see where he falls. Dalton Schultz is 4,400. Throw him in the mix.
Dalton Schultz? Let's get it. Let's stay in this game. All righty. So now we're looking at one running back, two more wide receivers, and a tight end. And we're looking at an average of $6,500 per player, which gives us a solid little chunk of change to move around with.
Let's go with first, just to see what we can do. Go with the Texans. Go with Arizona's defense.
You want to go Arizona's defense instead?
Yeah.
Cardinals. Well, position's already filled. They said no. I'm just kidding. All right. So Arizona's defense is in there now. We're looking at a 63.50 on each. At that price, we're able to touch any running back without affecting our real cap issues. I mean, we could not stack, but combine the powers of James Robinson and Saquon Barkley going up against Texans this week.
So let's go with James Robinson. And let's do a little mini correlation with who's cheaper, Laviska or?
I would assume Laviska. Let's double check. Laviska's at 48. Marvin Jones is sitting at 57. So I'm going to say Laviska.
Go Laviska. So we still need a wide receiver and flex.
Can I interest you in? Yes, we need a wide receiver and flex. Can I interest you in someone like an Amari Cooper?
I'm not.
We're gonna. I mean, we don't really. Our bring back in the Giants Dallas games Dalton Schultz, and as much as I like that, I don't as our only option. But
okay,
I do
then how about we? What if we get rid of that? Go with Cooper and play Jasicki.
All right, you're speaking my words here. I like it. Let's go Cooper, and we'll throw in Mike Gesicki, who should be here at 4,200. Wow! And look at that. We literally could throw Derrick Henry in at flex if we went down to Houston's defense.
How much do we have left?
We've got 8,700 left, so we essentially can pick any player right now except Derrick Henry.
So 8,700, we can sit with. Okay, what's the team at right now?
The team, we've got Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, James Robinson, Kadarius Toney, Laviska Shenault, Amari Cooper, Mike Gesicki, and the Cardinals defense. We could drop Laviska Shenault, take an upgrade at that receiver, grab another receiver, maybe like a DJ Moore or a Justin Jefferson, and then replace Shenault with something of value.
Let's go DJ Moore, and can we fit – if we do DJ Moore, can we fit in Devonta Smith?
I believe, yeah, we definitely should be able to. We can, just barely, but we can.
I think we did it.
I like this lineup a lot, actually. So final lineup, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, James Robinson. All three of those I am confident in. Kadarius Toney, I like. Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper, Mike Gesicki, DJ Moore, and the Arizona Cardinals. Let me offer one more point here.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper or CeeDee Lamb coming into this week? Because if we have Cooper, then Lamb's obviously available for us as well. We could do either.
Not really sure, to be honest. I think whatever one's cheaper, you can play and then go from there.
Let's go with Cooper. I'm gonna enter this one in there, and it's good. We're in. We're gonna win some free money. Look at all those beautiful faces on our team. No Devonta Smith. He's just an Eagle. All righty. Let me end this screen share. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again for our DFS episodes. If you guys would like to see anything else out of these episodes when we do them, or if there's some topic that you guys want us specifically to focus on a little bit more, like possibly me enunciating properly as I talk, just hit us up in the comments below. Join the Discord that's going to be linked in the bio or in the description, as well as the description for the podcast episode. Hugh, is there anything you want to say to the people?
No, I'm just going to the 49ers game hoping we get a win, but Arizona is probably just going to slice us up like we did last year.
All right. So, guys, if you guys watch that 49ers-Arizona game, make sure to look for that beautiful beard sitting somewhere on the sidelines in the stands. Thank you guys so much for joining us again for another beautiful episode. We will see you tomorrow with our bets, props, picks, and parlays with me, Mike, and Brad. Thank you guys again. We will see you next time.